YouTube? It is AJ Flame here, and I just wanted to go ahead and share my experience at the YCS. So the deck I decided to take was Plunder. All I had with me was my trusty phone, laptop, my water bottle, because gotta stay hydrated, my mat, and my noggin here. But I was just gonna go ahead and give a quick round by round scenario of my first experience. Overall, though, I did have a very, very fun time in that YCS. I do think it was pretty well handled for the amount of people on the first time doing it. I do think they did structure it very well, although they might have been some delays, some little issues. Well, I mean issues especially in the EU, but in the North America, I think it was pretty. I think it was pretty well managed. But we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get my notes here, my little notes for my rounds. And what was it? First round, I played against Drytron, which Drytron and Tri Brigade, pretty much the top two huge contending decks in the meta right now. And with that, I won 2-1 with using a Plunder, and it was very interesting. I will say both very well played games. Game one, I did win the die roll, so I did go first. I won the die roll on pretty much every round except for I won all but one round. I can't remember which one it was, but I did win pretty much all my die rolls, which is insane. This never happens to me. But very well fought out games, back and forth consistently. And game one, I went first. Made Blackbeard set booty and then pass, and that was my turn. With I had several other hand traps. I think I had Meister and Bell in hand, I believe, or it was Ash, but I'm not 100% completely sure. No, I had Valor and Bell. I think I don't know where it was double Valor. I'm not completely sure. I don't remember, but I do remember I did pretty much negate not the whole board, but I did made it to the point where he ran out of materials to that, and pretty much got it to the point where he only had one fairy for ultimateness in hand and Meteonish Drytron, since he added it back. So at that point, there was no where he could not negate anything else I could really do at that point in time. Game two, he went first, set up the whole board, and I couldn't break it, and he ended up OTKing me on the following turn, I believe. Okay, game three, I went first, set up pretty much the same board as last time, but this one was a grindy match. This was a very grindy game, and it ultimately ended up with me. I don't remember which turn, but I did ultimately end up. He didn't have any more. He barely had any more resources in hand, and at that point, I went okay. So I made Dweller. On his next turn standby, I activated Dweller, and then he conceded, and that was the first round, which was a spectacular match. It was just amazing. Okay, and then round two, I did lose to Otis Salad. Both games he had all the extenders. I did win the dice roll, but game one he had all the extenders, and plus I did misplay. I made, instead of making, because I could have made different ships, I made Bran because I thought he was going to try and set up a bunch, but I should have just figured he would have gone for access code instead, because that is the best play to actually go for. So, and I did that, and he still had the amount of extenders necessary to go into access code, a big access code that could attack twice, and that ended up taking games both times. And that was a very swift 2-0 against Salamangreat. But my round three was against Tri Brigade, actually, which was one of my worst matchups, excuse me. And it was kind of funny when we were starting this, because I almost ended up dueling against Brian from Crush Card. Shout out to you guys. I love your guys' stuff. Just because of a little mix up we had, because I didn't really read who I was supposed to play against, Yu-Gi-Oh players in reading, and he accidentally went to the wrong table. So I was like, okay, cool. So my actual opponent got there and was like, hey, we're supposed to be playing each other. I was like, no way, are you serious? And then when I'm like, oh shoot, and then we got the whole thing resolved. But it was a funny little thing that happened, just a little user error thing, but it was pretty funny. But that tribal game matchup, it was really good. I think I lost that dice roll. I think I did. I'm not. Maybe I won it. I'm not completely sure. I don't remember. No, I won that dice roll. I won that dice roll, and how that ended up, that was very. I had pretty much had all the stuff things I needed to stop him with. Excuse me, I'm thirsty. I had everything I needed to stop him, along with with all my hand traps and pretty much all the interruptions, and he was like, okay. And with that also as well, that second game I ended up getting pretty much he I got pretty much dominated on that. And the third game did end up getting two time, but I did have to the point of where couldn't he couldn't really perform as well because I had him under such pressure. So I did end up winning in time. Round four was a draw because of time. We only ended up because game one took forever. Game two. Okay, so I won game one. He won game two. We were in game three, and we were tied in life because he went first. He went first. No, oh no, I went first, but he was still in main phase when they called time. So that's how that went, and it was a fun matchup. It was pretty interesting, very interactive game. Round five, I lost to I want to call it Access Code Turbo, because that was really Access Code was pretty much the only play he can make. But round one, I did win, and it wasn't that difficult match. It was an interesting match because I just didn't know what the heck I was playing up against, and it was hard to decide and everything. But round two, he sacked me with the Imperial Order, so there was nothing I could do, especially with the hand I had, because I had unfortunately bricked, which was very, very bad. And game three, I did make a very bad misplay and going into the wrong ship. And so he ended up going to Access Code and then hitting me for multiple attacks, and that was that. And my round six round, the round I that was interesting. I played against Virtual World, and we had a little conflict. Well, not really a big conflict, but I don't know what was up. I honestly do not know, because throughout the whole time, my everything was fine with my mic, my connection, and everything. But we got to that round, and he started saying that he couldn't really hear me and anything. But I'm not going to get into the details with that specifically. This isn't a mini rant video. This is just what is it? A recap of the event. But in that case, he did play Virtual, which is actually my worst matchup, because the only thing that they really have in their main deck that I could actually use while it's on the board, it would be Cyframe Gear Gamma. But that is the only thing in the main deck. Otherwise, I can just pretty much go into Shen Pass, which pretty much destroys me if I do not have booty on the board to get out the Shen really. And it was just a really very difficult matchup. Also, if I do not draw booty, if I don't have that, or if I don't have any extenders to make anything else. But interesting games less, and that was a 2-0 loss for me. Oh, actually, I think it was in time, actually. Yes. Because the first one took forever, and then game two, there was time, and he was up, and I had no way to actually get there. So we did that. And I ended up dropping because I was very angry at the incident. But all things aside, I do think it was a very fun tournament. If I probably should have stayed in it, because I probably could have had a chance to get to day two and see how that ended up. But I got a little mad. But anyway, go ahead. In the next video, I'll go ahead and show you guys my plunder list that I updated after the YCS, and different cards that I took out and ratios and things like that. Cards that I took out in my main and my side deck, just for you guys. If you want to see that, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. But for all of you that did play in the YCS, I hope you guys had a very, very nice time. And just go ahead. I'll always keep you guys updated on my Twitter for everything that's going on, if I go ahead and do that. Twitter will also go ahead and let you know when I go live on Twitch, when I begin to do that again in the near future. And also along it's like if I want to start new series or continuations of them. But right now I'm just in a really tight spot financially. And it's just a lot of things to do at once because I also am a student and doing summer school classes and classes. But we'll figure all that out eventually with time. But thank you guys if you got all the way through this video, or if you even got maybe partially through, but I know you won't see this. But I thank you guys, and we're going to go ahead and sign off.